Hello. Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic considering, and do you know what? I'm actually getting better every day. I think that, getting acclimatized to to being restricted to where we are. We're
Yeah,
just in Ireland. We're just coming to the end of week 3. You're all the way over the other side of the world in New Zealand. So
I
amazing.
am. We're coming to I'm coming to the end of week 2 because I flew in from Australia. So I was in quarantine slightly before it went into lockdown. So yeah, I'm coming to the end of week 2. And between you and me, I don't think 4 weeks is going to be long enough. I'm having a lot of fun and getting an awful lot of stuff done.
I know I am busier than ever. I kind of sat down yesterday at about 7 o'clock in the evening and thought, how have all of these people talk about how much time they have and they've got
Yeah.
what? I just feel like, yeah, I'm really, really busy. But I have to say, I am thoroughly enjoying my chats with people all over the world, and so honoured to have you.
My
Really
pleasure.
come and do this. So why don't you introduce yourself and a little bit about what you're going to talk about today?
Yeah, who I am and what I do. I'm Suzanne Henwood, in case you haven't picked that up already. I live in Auckland, New Zealand, so kia ora. And I am one of 2 master coaches and master trainers of a field of mBraining. And mBraining is an applied neuroscience that actually came from our end of the world in 2012, came out of Australia. And it says that we have intelligence way beyond just our head brains, and we have intelligence in our heart and gut, which of course all the spiritual traditions knew for thousands of years. But as Westerners, we're now getting the scientific evidence to back that up. And so Grant Suzalu and Marvin Oka pulled together all of that science evidence and behaviorally modeled what it would mean if one person, because all the silos of information weren't really talking to each other. So if you have one person with a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain, that's interesting. How do you coach to that? How do you connect with that? And yeah, how do you align it so that you're, as we say, we have wakas, which are great big Maori war boats in New Zealand, so that everybody's rowing the waka in the same direction.
Lovely analogy. I had been trying to clear my throat before this started, but of course it's early morning here, and you're the first person I've actually spoken to. So,
Whatever.
so I apologise.
I can't catch it through the internet, so
not that kind of thing. No, I love the analogy. That's amazing. And I know. I mean, I've done the mBIT training myself to become a coach, and I was lucky enough actually to be the demo on stage with Marvin Oka at the 2014 NLP conference, and I believe it's somewhere out in the ether on YouTube somewhere. But it was life-changing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is profound. Yeah, it's amazing. It's simple, but it's profound. And certainly at the moment, with everything that's going on, I am being inundated with calls to talk to organizational groups or charity groups or network groups to kind of say, can you just give us some top tips about how you manage stress? I suppose something I didn't say is most of my life is either going around the world training new mBIT coaches or trainers or master coaches, or when I'm home, I'm a stress and anxiety coach. So I work with the GP practice, patients who have already presented with some medical symptoms, and the GP feels that there's a stress element to it. He says, go and see my mate Suzanne, and we work together to get them back to work and back on the straight and narrow and into balance again. So it's incredibly powerful. And yeah, it's just a privilege really to work with people and help them get back to who they really are.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be trained by you.
What can I say?
Yeah. So, and it was one of those things that when you know it, you sort of go, oh, of course. We all know it, but we don't know it, and it's bringing it into that consciousness and then being able to bring it back and use it in a much more useful way. So
yeah, I think mBraining for me, what it does beautifully is give you the how. So although we all know it at one level, we haven't necessarily been taught as kids in school, in education, how to use all of that. And so some kids through, maybe brilliant upbringing, environment, parenting, teaching, whatever, will get it. But for an awful lot of us, unless we're taught how to deeply access and connect inside, we don't just get it naturally. So
no, absolutely. And I think we were talking just before the press record, about young people and really what's going on around the world for young people. And I know you have an amazing talk that you did about youth, and we're going to put a link to that underneath as well. So
yeah,
I'm sure
it was
people will want
just,
to know more at the end of this. So.
yeah, just a podcast about mental health in children and young people, and it appears to be kind of getting at the moment about 1,000 views a day, new views, and that's just on the Facebook link. So it's clearly resonating with people. I think people are looking for solutions, things they can do, because the mental health in our young people at the moment is, yeah, they're struggling, and we need to get some skills out to them.
Absolutely. And I mean, the breathing space started off as something for young people, and actually just said, well, actually everybody needs help. If young people are watching this, fantastic. Really, really hope there are people of all ages, tuning into this and actually getting some tips and tools that don't involve them having to have a label.
Absolutely.
Themselves, or to pathologize their emotions, and to think there's something wrong with them, anything like that, but actually to give some really practical experiences that can help people to really just, as exactly as you're doing, to bring stress and anxiety down, because when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. So that's, we don't really want to be in that.
Kind of shuts that all down, right? So just teaching them that that's normal physiology, but helping them to rewire that and to have a different choice is incredibly empowering. I think my youngest client to date is 6. I don't know what my oldest is. I mean, the young kids just get it straight away, really, really quickly, and it's a great thing to teach parents to do with their kids. I get them laying on the floor together, breathing together, and it's a lovely way of kind of ending the day, that they can just, lay next to each other as they're reading the nighttime story and breathe together, do some gratitude together.
Which at this time with people, they instead of saying we have to spend so much time together, we all get to spend so much time together. This is an amazing opportunity for families to get to know each other, to connect. I often say, instead of going head to head, let's go heart to heart.
Very nice. Very mBraining.
Very mBraining, I know. Yeah, well, I have been taught by the masters.
We just have to come up with another way of heart-to-heart hugging at the moment to keep our 2-meter distances.
Virtual heart-to-heart.
Absolutely.
So this is called the breathing space, and the reason why that name is so relevant, I think, at this time, obviously even COVID, it impacts our lungs. That's where it goes. So and the planet needs to breathe, and we all need to breathe. And to me, that was the biggest revelation from the mBraining, from the mBIT course, was breathing. The importance.
And apparently 90% of people do it wrong.
It's just so interesting, isn't it? How are we doing it? So it's something that we're born, the minute we come into the world, it's the first thing we're supposed to be doing, and the last thing we do. And the question is, well, what's going on? So what can we do instead, Suzanne? Tell us.
Yeah, well, bit of a challenge in quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, but I've come up with what I hope is a bit of an experience for people listening in, because I thought I can give all the theory, but actually if you experience it in your body, then you might think, oh, that's interesting, I'll go and find out about it. And it's really easy to find out more about it afterwards. So just to kind of give a bit of a platform, really, breathing is absolutely a core part of mBraining. We don't coach at all until we've got someone into what we call autonomic balance, and we do that through balanced breathing. Combination of heart math work. If you've not heard of a heart math, well worth an explore. They focus on that emotional feel at heart level and breathing with a heart focus, as if you could breathe straight in and out of the heart space. And then Steve Elliott's work, which is all about the mechanics and the physics of timing and even breathing. So in our balanced breathing, we combine those two together, and we encourage people to breathe in an even rhythm with a positive emotion at heart level. Before you can do that, you've got to get your body in the right position. So a lot of people, especially on IT devices, are hunched over. So it's about maybe coming away from the back of the chair a little bit, and then sitting up straight, so there's just a little bit of a curve in the bottom of your spine. And what you'll find by doing that is your shoulders come backwards. And it might be a case of just kind of, rocking, wriggling a little bit until you feel that perfect position where holding your weight upright is effortless. Your spine does it for you beautifully. And then on the top of that, your head just kind of, again, getting to that point where you can feel your neck kind of lets go of having to hold the weight of your head. And from that place, people can either keep their eyes open or closed. It makes no difference. For some people, they prefer closed just because it helps you take your attention inwardly. And what we'll do is I'll talk you into breathing, and then I'll just talk you round the three brains a little bit and just get curious about what your intelligences have to say. And whatever it says is fine. Okay, so if people are listening in from that beautiful position, just start to become aware of your breath. That gentle, natural flow. That breath of life that comes in, as you say, the first thing we do is breathe, the last thing we do is breathe. And just be aware how far that breath goes inside of you and where you can feel movement. And what we're aiming for is for that breath to go almost below the diaphragm, as if you're blowing a balloon up in your tummy with every in-breath. And I know that's not possible, but imagine that you could. That as you breathe in, your tummy expands like a balloon. And as you breathe out, it just naturally deflates again. And you might be curious. I can see you're breathing beautifully through the nose, which is by far the healthiest way to breathe. But you might be curious which nostril you're breathing in and out of. We tend to alternate throughout the day. Now that you're beautifully aware of the breath, start to come into a rhythm where you count the in-breath and the out-breath and have that number the same number. Now, ideally, we want to get to a count of about 6. But if you've not done much breathing work, that might be a bit of a stretch. So far better to be an even 4 or an even 5 than trying to struggle and hold on. And just as you do that, what that will be doing is changing your heart rate variability, which then impacts on your autonomic nervous system. So if you had a scanner that was going to go from head to toe now, what changes would it notice in your body just from having done that couple of minutes of breathing? You might find some of the big muscles have relaxed a little. You might find your head has quietened a little. And we're not aiming for relaxation here, we're aiming for calm alert. So it's a great breathing to do when you want to make decisions or you're learning something or you're busy multitasking in the day. But just notice how your body is. And what that balanced breathing does is allows us to connect in with these intelligences inside of us. So I want you just to take all of your focus to your heart area. And as you do, you might even physically feel or even hear your heartbeat. That beautiful rhythm that keeps you alive, that's at your very core. And it might be a while since you had a conversation with your heart. And for some of the listeners, maybe they've never directly spoken to the heart. Might sound a bit odd. But if your heart had a voice, and if you asked that heart voice how it was feeling right now, what would it say? And you don't need to answer out loud. But you might want to actually name the emotions, and maybe there's several of them. You might want to just reflect on those emotions that you're naming, whether they are restoring and energizing emotions, keeping you upbeat in the day, or whether they're depleting energy draining emotions. And neither's okay. We're not judging it, we're just noticing. Maybe pick one of the energizing or restoring emotions, maybe appreciation or gratitude, maybe love or care, compassion. One of those emotions that make us feel good. And just allow that to flood right around your heart, giving yourself some of that emotion back. As if you could connect with some eternal source of it from outside of you, so that you give yourself self-appreciation or self-gratitude, self-love, self-compassion. And again, maybe it's a while since you've done that. And in this time where we are, challenged and uncertain, just bring to that heart's awareness the other people who are important for you. Maybe it's those people who are in your bubble. And just share some of that appreciation and gratitude and love and compassion out to them. Because you have more than enough. Beautiful. Keeping that breathing going nice and evenly. You might like to ask your heart, for today, tomorrow, the end of this week, what's truly important to you? What is it that you want to focus on this week? Beautiful. Just check in with your heart before we leave it aside for a moment, whether there's anything else it wants to say. And sometimes it talks in pictures or metaphor. It's not always words. Hasn't got a language center in the same way as the head. Just check in. Anything else the heart wants to make sure that you've heard. Beautiful. And thanking the heart for being so eloquent in its communication. Probably a still small voice that you only hear in quiet times. I want you just to kind of scan right round your body for a moment. Right out to the skin surface, even the hair follicles, the hairs themselves. Deep down into every bone, into the center of you. And that part of you that is constantly monitoring, maintaining your stability and your balance. And just check in as you kind of scan right around your body, whether that voice, which might be a different voice, has anything to say to you, anything to alert you to. And maybe it's been a little bit on hyper alert because of all that's going on in the world, and you might just want to give it some beautiful reassurance. What words does it want to hear? Might even be that you want to kind of just gently kind of rub your hands together, that beautiful soft healing touch to reassure your body that all is well. All is well. But do listen in. If there's anything that it wants to alert you to, let it know that you've heard it. Let it know that you'll take action on it if you need to. And then just maybe imagining like a beautiful warm weighted blanket wrapped around your body, cocooning you and keeping you safe. Taking your attention up to that amazing, intelligent head brain. And it might be that your head brain has been taking in all sorts of information, some of it good quality, some of it not. Just ask it now in relation to what was important for you at heart level, what your head really knows, what's really true for it. And amidst all the multiple sources of data coming in the midst of it, there will be a story,
And
a
my email
meaning. Yeah, I was going to cheekily say, you know, even as we're talking, that's life at the moment, isn't it?
I just hadn't turned everything off, shut all my other windows down. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
So going back into that beautiful head that's had all these windows open and has had all these sources of information pinging into your awareness. Underneath all of that, there's a story. There's some core words that you've been telling yourself. And some of those core words might be resourceful, some of them might not be. And it might be, but if some of those words are less than helpful, that you could decide to kind of thank them, put them back in some storage or dictionary that you can get to them later, should they ever be useful for you. They don't need to be right in the front of your mind right now. And just leave yourself with 2, 3, or 4 core words related to what's important to you that you're going to choose to focus on for the rest of this week. And begin to weave those into the story, which might totally change the feel of the story. It might totally change the meaning that you've been making of what's been going on or what can happen in the next few days. You're the author of these stories. You can create whatever you like as the next chapter. And it might be that you have to decide to close down some of those windows, some of those sources, and focus on a smaller number. Not that you can't ever go back there, but that they won't distract you unless you deliberately go and look for them. Beautiful. Keeping that breathing going, dropping back into your heart area again, and just checking out those words and that story with your deepest core values and what's true to you, and making sure that they fit, that they are aligned. And if any of them aren't, then you can just drop them by the wayside. And if they are, you can decide to kind of lock them into the story for the next few days. You might even think of ways of remembering them even more easily. And dropping that story and what's important to you deep down into your gut, right down into your pelvis. And weaving that story around who you are and who you will be for the next few days. Who do you want to be? Who's the best version of you moving forward in these few days in relation to the context you were contemplating? What does your gut need to keep you safe over the next few days? Are there any boundaries that you need to move or adjust, flex because of what's going on? Are there any actions that you need to do, or indeed any actions that you need to stop doing? And knowing that courage comes from the very back of your gut, right up against your spine, you might find a pathway through to that courage so that you can take that action or stop taking actions, connecting to the courage that was always inside of you. You might want to even leave a pathway or a connection through to that courage so that if you ever need it over the next few days, you can easily re-access it. Beautifully coming back up to your heart space again, kind of completing that loop, leaving that to flow easily around your three intelligences. But before you come back into the room, just check in with your body and see if there's any new message or wisdom that it might like to alert you to, that it might want to bring to your conscious awareness. And it might be a picture or a metaphor or a word, a feeling, a sense. You might want to just take a beautiful big breath in, bringing your attention back into the here and now. That was a kind of quick whiz round the multiple brains, but I'm curious, did you get any interesting messages? Did you get any wisdom up? Did you?
Well, at the end, so what I could see was a bright blue sky, which it's not, it's grey out there at the moment. Birds flying, singing, you could just hear nature being open. And don't know where it came from, but this almost tapping into what Nelson Mandela used when he was incarcerated for 27 years and was still able to come out as one of the most compassionate human beings on the planet.
Beautiful.
And if he could do that for 27 years, we can do it for whatever number of weeks that we can do.
Absolutely.
To really go in and to know that actually we are all completely free inside. It's a choice. So
beautiful.
That was really, I feel quite teary.
And it might be that over the next few days you happen to see a picture that kind of, mirrors what you saw, that you can have as an anchor, a memory, so you can go back there really easily. And I don't know what other listeners came up with as they kind of just went through that process, but always a really good idea to put a reminder somewhere of what that wisdom was that bubbled up from inside of you. And just over the next 24 hours, you might get some even deeper interpretation of what that image is. So just really,
thank you.
Yeah, really simple, balance breathing, the gist of which is even breath and a nice, positive, energizing, soothing emotion at heart level. And then from there, that allows you to go in and you can literally talk to your heart, your head, and your gut. And it will put some links at the bottom where you can go and find out a little bit more about what each of those three do, and therefore the sorts of questions you might aim at your heart as opposed to your gut, as opposed to your head. They all have their own functions and competencies.
Absolutely wonderful. And as I said, when I experienced this, gosh, it would be 6 years ago, it blew me away. It was it was just life-changing. And it's always watching that language as well. We do know we are talking to them, but maybe we're not, or they're talking to us, maybe we're not listening. And to just be aware of when you're saying things like, my head says one thing, my heart says something else, my gut's got a totally different take on the whole thing.
Absolutely. And even deeper than that, when you're unconsciously talking from within, not realizing that you're talking to them. So if you're talking about, I'm sick to the stomach, or it's tearing me apart, it's breaking my heart, you are almost giving an instruction down to your body as to what to do. So being really, really conscious and careful about those keywords in our head, because they absolutely can change literally the kind of physical cell structure, the protein structure of each cell. And that's whether or not you say it out loud. So even when you're just thinking those words, I read a quote from someone somewhere that, you know, if people realize the power of their thoughts, they would never allow a stray thought again to pass through their minds. And it's so true.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, you know, we're not going anywhere. So we've
not
got,
for a while, at least.
Not for a while. So this is the opportunity to really pay attention.
Yep.
You know, and all that busyness that's been distracting us for so long. You know, we've got a great opportunity here to really just go in, tap into that. We've all got, it's all there. We've all got that wisdom. We just need to learn exactly how can
it's about shutting some of these windows down, as you beautifully illustrated in the middle.
The universe is such a funny thing. I was like, that was so funny. I was like, okay, seriously, I really must remember to shut all of my windows down before I start recording.
But it's so true, isn't it? We'll have a computer screen that's got numerous things open and we're jumping between them, and then you get a ping of an email or a ping of a messenger, and then
you're wondering, where's that music coming from?
We don't take time out and actually just kind of go still and quiet and literally rest our bodies at a cellular level. And
we have a fantastic chance to do this now. Whether
Absolutely.
we or not is up to us. And as Ian Clark said to me yesterday, he said, instead of giving things to people, we're gifting them.
Oh, lovely.
So this is you have gifted me your time, which I know is it's just wonderful for you to have agreed to come on and have a chat with me. It's always
my
great.
Pleasure.
It's always great to chat to you anyway. Suzanne, have an amazing night, and the rest of my day is just beginning.
Yeah, so, yeah, you can see we're you know, pitch black outside, ready for bed.
Suzanne, absolutely fantastic. The links are going to be down below if you want to know more. Do watch out for all of Suzanne's amazing talks that are floating around the internet all over the place. And I really do suggest you go and listen to them. They're brilliant. Suzanne, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all you're doing through this space for other people.
My pleasure. Take care, and take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.